With the power to bring people together or just help us escape the world, gaming is more than just a game. So join me, Ziggy Chris, as I speak to developers, content creators, and gamers like you and me to discover how each of us was saved by gaming. Hey everyone, welcome into Saved by Gaming, where life is more than just a game. As always, I am Ziggy Chris, and with me today is someone very special. They are Senior Community Manager at Secret Mode, which has published games such as Still Wakes the Deep, Dear Esther, A Little to the Left, and others. Previously, she was Community Ambassador for Raw Fury, and on top of all of that, just because she got bored, I guess, with all of the other things she's doing, founded Girls That Game UK, which is an all-ladies board gaming group. So welcome in Vicki Fieldhouse, or Vicky. Hi.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. I'm glad you introduced me because I'm usually terrible at
Yeah, no
introducing
problem.
myself.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. I'm sure we've got lots to talk about. And I mean, I reeled off there some of the things that you do or have done, but I'm on with all of that in mind, there must be several moments in life then where gaming has saved your life or had an impact on your life. What does it make you think of in terms of that, in terms of the power of games to save someone?
I think, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? I think games as a thing, they're pure escapism. People play games to escape various things, whether it's boredom or a time in their life. For me, it's been, a lot of times when I've been hit by depression or anxiety, or certainly during COVID when that happened, that was a pretty rough time. And for me, playing games through that time in my life, that gave me exactly what I needed, which was a community of people at the time when you couldn't leave your house, you couldn't go and see your friends. And I still am a very good friends with a lot of people that I met on Twitch during the pandemic. I also think that it can help you deal with a lot of emotions. We chatted off air. I lost my dad to cancer 2 years ago, and I recently played a game called Pine Hearts, and that is a journey about dealing with grief, and I feel I definitely went on that journey as well. While not really saving me, it allowed me to process emotions that I hadn't processed in the 2 years prior to playing that.
I feel that. It's an interactive medium, right? It's not just watching a film. You're a little bit more immersed. You're in the moment, and that has a powerful impact. Whether, as an adoptive dad, The Last of Us now has a different impact on me when I play it to when I did a few years ago. But moments, whatever the connection is, they can resonate in such a way. And you mentioned about connecting with online friends during the pandemic. Have you had relationships that were built online? You said you've stayed in touch with people, but that were built online and then have become real life relationships that you've met in person?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's another creator, actually, another streamer and content creator, Ellie, who runs the Cozy Gaming Club. We met online during COVID. I was streaming, she was a follower of mine, we started chatting on TikTok, we followed each other's content and that kind of thing. We did a couple of collaborations on YouTube channel videos for her channel and for my channel. And then a couple of years ago we should meet. Like we should actually go and do something together. Our first time meeting was actually at a board game cafe, and that was really lovely. And I actually got married 6 weeks ago, and she came to my wedding. And yeah, now we actually work at the same company, or did work at the same company for a while before the split. Yeah, and there's people that were, again, followers of my channel on Twitch, and again, we work at the same company now, which is really odd. But there are definitely people that I've met online and then developed real life friendships with, and that's been amazing.
I think it is a crazy world nowadays when it's all digital and things become like real. It's weird. Who would have thought that we would get there? So when you mentioned about the impact that some games have had on you, whether it was Pine Hearts, whether it's to do with grief in your real life or getting through depression, do you think there's been moments in any of those games that you've played where they might have played out differently had you not been with a certain community or been with a certain game at a particular point in time?
Yeah, I mean, there's games that I think I probably wouldn't have even picked up in the first place because I would have been off living my life, doing other things, not struggling through depression. So I think, yeah, finding those games at that time, I think I just probably wouldn't have even played them because I wouldn't have had time. I think depression takes a lot from you. Like, for me, it was during a lot of times of unemployment when I was really struggling to find jobs and really struggling to find my place in the world. And for me, that was escapism. Like, I didn't want to be in the real world because the real world sucked. You know, no one wanted me. Like, I felt rejected. I felt broken. I felt like I was just never going to find my place. So I kind of created this little world for myself on Twitch where I could just play games and hopefully someone else would join me and enjoy it. So yeah, I think if I hadn't have been going through those times of unemployment and depression, I would have just been off living my life and doing other things and probably wouldn't have even started a Twitch channel, if I'm honest. So
yeah, I mean, it begins with escapism, right? For a lot of people, I think whatever the game is, usually you're looking for a way to escape and hide from reality potentially, and sometimes that's a comfort blanket, sometimes it's looking for a way out, but sometimes it becomes something positive off the back of it because it can lift you.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And we again, when we were chatting beforehand, we spoke about how within communities as well, and I mean, you must see this potentially in your role as community manager, the games that connect with people or the communities that build, you know, in my small corner of Twitch, the feeling when someone just reaches out and says your streams have had an amazing impact on me because that you keep me company when you know, I'm struggling for people to talk to, whatever it is. Have you, within your work, do you hear any great interesting stories from the communities within the games that you work with or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's more the fact that they find other people that they can connect with who like the same things as them. So, for example, Stoics the Deep, we've got an amazing community around Stoics the Deep. Not to talk too much about my own work or games that we publish, but there's an amazing community there, and I think it's people gravitate towards other people who share the same interest. That group of people have then gone ahead and built like a whole like fan wiki together about Stoics the Deep, sharing resources, sharing fan theories, sharing fan fiction, sharing fan art. And I think that's given them a community as well. Like, they've just found other players of the same game who are as passionate about the game as they are. And I think that's wonderful. All we do is facilitate a space, right? All we do is create a space for them to gather, and we kind of watch from the sidelines with joy, really, like that people are enjoying the game and engaging with the game as much as they are. And it's yeah, that's the best part of the job, if I'm honest. That's the best part, is when people, when you work on a game and you love it as much as we do, and then you find that other people have experienced it and love it as well. That's the best thing. That's the best part of being a community manager. As just facilitating those spaces and seeing people engaging with each other and interacting with each other and just sharing their passion. It's amazing.
It must be, because in my first episode I talk about the fact that, you know, I was a massive World of Warcraft player back in the day. Back in the day when it had like 18 million people playing it, or something stupid, whatever it was. And
we were all forgetting to eat and drink and sleep.
Raiding 3 or 4 times a week because that was my life. I loved it. Yeah. But, you know, chatting to people all across Europe in your teams of 25 and doing the raids and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And to date that even more in between, chatting to people on MSN because we had MSN. Yeah. And that was a thing that you had to do to do it all, and being on Team Talk together and sharing stories and connecting while you're in the middle of a raid, because you have the downtime where someone's died and you have the 20 other of you have to wait for someone to walk all the way back, and you share stories within those moments because you're at home chatting to people after work and having your dinner and all these kind of things. So I guess what I'm just resonating there on your story is that those communities that you spoke about, we've all been there. We've found our tribe. It's finding your tribe, right? Finding the people that you all share that experience with, and then building from it.
Yeah.
I just took all the words out of your mouth, but I couldn't help it.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I love it when people get passionate. But yeah, you've taken me right back to being 17 or 18 when I first started playing World of Warcraft. Whoa. You are making me feel old now, Chris.
I'm an old man, so it's fine. We can do that. We can do that.
I don't think we're that dissimilar in age.
Don't tell anyone. It's fine.
No one knows. We're still young. We're still young.
Okay. Let's take a light-hearted moment for a second, and we can always come back to some of the deeper stuff when we need to. Do you have a favourite game? We've just touched on, obviously, Warcraft is probably up there somewhere. But do you have a favourite game, whether it's because it's got you through tough times or just one that you've put the most time into? Or what's Vicky's favourite top-tier game?
Okay. This is terrible because it's going to bring me back to work. But Kingdom 2 Crowns is the game that I have got the most hours in. I reckon I've got maybe 500 or 600 hours in that game. I absolutely love it. But that is how I got my step into... That's how I got to work at Raw Fury, was because I was just playing that game. Again, during COVID, I was playing that game so much and just absolutely loved it. I liked playing it solo. I liked playing it co-op. I was even sort of teaming up with other streamers to join me to be my second person in 2 Crowns. There was a lot of times when I would stream with other people playing the same game. So I was making content for that game anyway and playing it a lot. And for me, that's a very... I find that I found this niche of games that I kind of got this duality to them, where it's part of it is very cozy and easy and relaxing. And then the other part is survival. Survival. So Kingdom 2 Crowns, you build a really nice peaceful village, you build up your kingdom, you hire a load of little workers. It's very peaceful, very lovely, gorgeous pixel art, very relaxing soundtrack. But every night you get attacked by the greed that come out of the forest. So
we've all been attacked by greed at some point in our lives, but yeah.
We've all been attacked by greed, but this is a physical manifestation. They even take your coins. This is a physical manifestation. They destroy everything you've built. Come for your money. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. And I think I've probably got, over 500 hours in that easily. So for me, that is a top tier indie game. But if we're talking about late or AAA titles, for me, I think the most impactful one was probably when I got into the BioShock series. And then Borderlands as well, the Borderlands series, that was really... There's not really any good couch co-ops. There was a time when couch co-op just went out of the window. Yeah. And for a long time, Borderlands was the only couch co-op that me and my other half could play together. That was the only thing we enjoyed playing together was Borderlands. So we had this tradition every New Year's. We were like, we're not watching any fireworks. We're not going to a party. We're just going to crack out Borderlands and play 4 or 5 hours of that. And yeah, that's great memories. Great memories of playing Borderlands.
And again, we're getting nostalgic, and I think it's why the studio, and I've just forgotten their name, the studio that makes the likes of Split Fiction and all those co-op games are so popular because they are one of the only people doing it right now in a proper full-on co-op way. But people miss that, and we've got so into this virtual world, which is amazing, but the joy growing up of gaming was often before the internet particularly, was all being gathered round, sitting together and playing a game.
Absolutely.
And that comes back to, we've spoken that you've done stuff involved in board games, and I'm a massive tabletop gamer. And whether it's D&D or whether it's a board game, whatever, or Pandemic, the people being sat together working as a team in person is something that also, I think, has that powerful impact we're talking about in terms of again, not to coin a phrase, but saving people. But the connectivity of bringing people together in a way that's not conflict, but just bringing people together to work as a team, or even when it has been conflict. I remember 4 of us sitting around playing GoldenEye on the N64 on a little tiny CRTV where you can all see each other's screen and you're all trying to watch where the other person is because you can see where they are. They're right in front of you. But do you get what I mean? Have you had moments where you mentioned playing with your partner, but even growing up those moments where it connects people? I mean, I had me and my brother for sure. We would be playing Rayman, we'd be playing Gran Turismo, but he would play a bit of his game and I would play a bit of his game, and then I would be, I'm bored of Gran Turismo now, I want to play Rayman. So he would play Rayman with me, or Mario Kart, or whatever. But yeah, that was such a good... Again, we all were just getting nostalgic, and maybe people play games for nostalgia too. Maybe it's not just escapism or because it's the latest game and you feel you have to play it because everyone else is playing it. But yeah, maybe it's a nostalgia hit as well. But for me, you talk about board games, but board games and the community I built with that probably has saved me probably more than video games.
to be honest. That gave me a community when I didn't really have anybody. So my now husband, he moved away for 4 years and worked in Dublin. So I would see him maybe once or twice a month. And during that time, I was, what do I do? I don't really know anyone here. I worked here and I'd lived here for 7 years at that point, I think. But I hadn't really made friends. I'd lived in my own little bubble with him. I hadn't really got a community here at all. And I was, oh man, I have all these board games. I had hundreds of board games and no one to play with. I'd lost my player too. I was, wow, what do I do? And I always think the weirdest things happen. Split-second decision, gut reaction. I was, oh, you know what? I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to ask if anyone locally would want to meet up and play board games with me regularly. We had this thing at the time. It was called Streetwise. Yes. I remember getting a leaflet for it through the door, and I thought, this is just a local message board. I'm just going to put a message up and be like, would any women between the ages of 20 and 40 want to meet up every week and play board games at the pub with me? And I had an overwhelming response. And that was 9 years ago. So I've been running it for 9 years now. So that first meeting we had was at the pub. 6 strangers turned up. I didn't know who was going to turn up, if anybody. 6 strangers turned up. The next week it was 10. And it just grew and grew and grew from there. And that has been the community that I need. I think we all need to find, you said our tribe, we all need to find our tribe, whether that's online or offline. And that has given me more than anything. I think it's really hard to make friends when you get over the age of 25. Like, you get into your 30s, you're like, how are people making friends as adults? Where do you go to meet people? Where do you go to make friends? And this ended up being the exact community that I needed, just like-minded women. It turns out that most of us are neurodivergent in some way, which is great. We've all kind of attracted each other like a magnet. So we've got this great group of people which we just play together every week. And it's not always about, sometimes we don't play anything. Sometimes we just talk. Sometimes someone's had a really rough time at work. Sometimes someone's having a really rough time with their health. Sometimes they are having a really rough time with their partner or at home or anything. Everyone's going through their own things, right? And sometimes we just need to sit and listen and be there for the other person. And sometimes that's been me. Sometimes I'm the person that needs to just sit and vent and have some support. And it's honestly been the best thing that I've ever done with my life, is just that 5-minute thing of being, I'm just going to see if someone wants to play games with me weekly. It started out as a really selfish thing. I don't have friends. I need some friends. Who wants to come and play with me? And I think it's actually benefited them in probably in the same way it's benefited me. It's given them a community and a support system too.
I do think that's awesome. And you said it was only a 5-minute thing, but just taking that risk, that step, because there's an element of fear, I guess, in putting yourself out there. But like you say, people all want someone to talk to at the end of the day. We're human beings. We need that interaction one way or another. And we mentioned about connecting virtually in WoW in our team talks, waiting for everyone to res and talk and stuff. And it's the same with the D&D group sat at the table. And we say often, first half hour, we don't do anything. We're just having snacks and chatting and catching up on the week and getting together and sharing stories. And often snack time is the biggest part of the D&D session. And that's great.
Yeah, I used to just come for the Jaffa cakes.
But because, again, it is that connection, and it's an outlet. It becomes a therapeutic outlet, doesn't it? Whether you are talking to someone thousands of miles away through a headset, or whether you are at a table sharing a snack, it's the same. It's just that human interaction that we all crave. I think that's what you were getting at as well.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes people don't want to talk at all. I think very much it started off that way. When I started Girls That Game, I think people came because they didn't want to talk. They didn't want to be introducing themselves. They didn't want to be talking about work. They actually wanted to come and have a place where they could just switch off and think about nothing else and just play a game for 2 hours and not talk. So it very much started off that way. And I think actually, again, bringing it back to the pandemic and COVID, I think actually having that lockdown and not being able to speak to people or see people quite as much, and not having that social element, I found that when we finally could come back to the pub and start seeing each other in person again, that was when people were wanting to chat and catch up and open up. And sometimes it would take an hour before we would even play a game, and sometimes we wouldn't play a game at all. But again, everyone just needs something different. And I think I'm really lucky to have the group I've got, and I'm so glad I took that risk and just asked if people wanted to do it. And I think a lot of people won't even, like you said, a lot of people wouldn't even take the risk. It can be quite difficult to, like you said, put yourself out there, especially if you're not like a naturally very sociable person, or perhaps you're quite a wary person of like, well, who is going to turn up? I don't know these people. This could be dangerous. I think I've always just been a bit of a risk taker, if I'm honest. I met my boyfriend online, my husband now, online, and that could have been really risky too. But, you know, we're nearly 20 years in together and we've just got married, so that worked out great. But I think just taking those risks in the first place.
That's amazing. So what would you say then? Let's put you on the spot. What would you say then to someone who says that games are just a waste of time?
Oh my God. I would just... No. Absolutely not. I mean, I very, very rarely do I hear that. But yes, I have heard that gaming is a waste of time. Mostly from older generation. Like, I think my mum doesn't understand what I do. Like, she's never even turned a computer on. She doesn't understand gaming. She probably does think it's a complete waste of time, right? But I don't think it is at all. I think if that person genuinely thinks it's a waste of time, they just haven't found the right game for themselves. They haven't experienced the joy or the impact of a game for themselves, right? They need to find something that they resonate with, that's going to touch them or move them in some sort of a way that, wow, this is actually, I feel either really immersed or really touched by this, or just, yeah, they need to find the right game for themselves. I'd say you just haven't found the right game for you.
Good answer. Yeah. If you could only play one game for the rest of your life, which game would that be?
It probably would be Kingdom 2 Crowns.
They've just got loads of free free advertisement out of this one. But yeah.
There is a free version. If you are curious, you can just go and play Kingdom, the free version. But Kingdom 2 Crowns is the ultimate version, and it has so many DLC. You'll never get bored. If you play Kingdom 2 Crowns and you're this is the game for me, it's got a ton of DLC. I could play that for the rest of my life, no problem. Wow. Absolutely no problem.
I confess I haven't played that one, but you're making me curious.
That's okay.
Making me curious. When someone's that passionate, I think it's a bit of a movie, right? When someone tells you about a movie and they're super passionate about it, or a band. Oh, yeah. And you're actually not so much at bands now for me, because I'm going through a midlife crisis where I only listen to bands that I grew up with. Forget that one.
I think it's because I work with young people and they're like, how have you not heard of Sleep Token? How have you not heard of this? And I don't know, and it makes me feel old, and I immediately need to go and get my Spotify on and listen to this. And sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But you know what?
No, I don't even give it a go now. I'm just living in the 90s. Don't worry.
Oh, the 90s were the best, though. The 90s were the best.
So I forgot where
we're getting into nostalgia again.
Anyway, that was it. You answered the one game. Let's change that tangent then. It was interesting earlier, actually, when you said about having to think of a AA or AAA or whatever it was. And I was thinking that was an interesting thought, because I never said that you had to do that. And indie games, if anything, are often, I think, more inspiring, because you do get the freedom to be more creative, and Blue Princess come out, and all these other games games that talk about grief, and games that take you on different narrative tales that a AAA company or game can't afford to risk, because they've got to speak to a huge demographic, and there's so many millions invested in it.
And then you get something like Blue Prince, which is developed by one person. You're just like, what the heck?
It's crazy.
Dude.
Can you think of anyone, whether it's a gamer, streamer, or someone that you work with, or anyone else, that you actually think, I'd like to hear their saved by story, in terms of whether they've got had something that I'd love to hear, if they had a moment where games had an impact on them, or how it saved them.
I'm going to have to think about that one. There's definitely people, there's definitely someone I used to work with, I'm still very good friends with, is very big on accessibility and diversity, and I know that they probably haven't had the easiest route in games either in their career, but they're very successful, and they're a huge inspiration to me. I think they'd be good to have on, and I think gaming probably could have saved them in a different way to me.
Okay. You don't want to name drop.
Oh, if I do, they'll be like, why is she mentioning me?
Okay.
Why? It's my good friend Jobs. Everyone knows her as Jobs. A big shout out to Jobs. Jobs is amazing. Actually, there's a couple of people at Flop as well. Now of Safe in Our World. So proud of Flop. So those two, I really love to hear more from them.
That's good. As well, there was something you mentioned earlier about how you were playing that game again, the game that led you into working in games. Kingdom 2 Crowns.
Kingdom 2 Crowns.
It will get drummed into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yes, it will.
I'm sure people would love to hear if you're able to share a little bit more about how that led you into the industry, because
oh gosh, yeah,
and I know you don't necessarily want to talk too much about work, but I think again in terms of the impact it had on you, and also the fact that so many people obviously do love the industry, any nugget you've got from that journey I'm sure would be insightful.
Yeah, so it did, again, bringing it back to COVID and bringing it back to the pandemic, I didn't really have anything else to do, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this whole Twitch streaming a go. So it started actually taking it all the way back when Twitch Sings was a thing, like a karaoke app led by Twitch. Everyone was playing it, and for me that was a real sort of, I love singing, I love karaoke, right? And I was like, if I can sing on the internet, perfect, this is wonderful. And I didn't take it seriously at first. I was like, I'm just going to treat this as a bit of a joke. And again, the community there blew me away. Like the fact that I think to sing online, you have to put yourself out there. You have to have a certain level of confidence. And the community was non-judgmental. Everyone was super supportive. Everyone was streaming it. Everyone was duetting with each other live on Twitch. It was an amazing community and exactly what everyone needed during the pandemic. Absolutely perfect. And that was why I started streaming, because of this amazing community that was so supportive. I was, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a live stream. And I didn't have a fancy camera and I didn't have a good microphone, but I did it anyway. And I found that community through that. And then I built my skills, and I'm going to get a good camera, and I'm going to get a good microphone, I'm going to upgrade my laptop, and I'm going to start taking this thing seriously. I'm going to learn to stream, I'm going to learn how to make my own overlays, I'm going to learn how to make my own emotes, I'm going to learn how to do sound alerts, I'm going to learn how to use OBS properly, for starters. So that led me into gathering skills within streaming and content creation, and then I would take clips, and I would get onto TikTok and all of that. And eventually Twitch closed down Twitch Things and it didn't exist. So I had it for about 2 years and then it just got canned, and the community rallied around trying to save it, and it didn't work. But everyone stuck around. Everyone else found their own thing. I tried some RPG streams. So I got in with an RPG crowd as well, which was really nice. And then eventually I landed on video games, because that's what I'd always been passionate about and that's what I enjoyed doing. And I got to a point where I was like, the RPG streams are really time intensive, and they're a lot. And at that time, actually, I was using some sound software, and I ended up actually working for that company because I was using it in my streams and building my own soundtracks, essentially. So I was doing quite advanced things with their app. So I actually ended up for a year working for that company and doing RPG stuff and sound stuff. And again, just building up these skills of streaming and content creation. And for a little while previously, I think for about 5 or 6 years before that, I'd started to learn about social media management, because I actually had my own business ages ago. 10 years ago, I had my own business. And my now husband kept saying to me, you're really good with social media, you should do more of it. And I was like, okay, cool, all right. I guess I was doing that. I was really good with social media. I had the streaming stuff. I was gaming. I could use the sound app. And that was my first big paid full-time job, doing this sort of thing remotely. And I was like, I can work for a company based in Australia, but here? That's crazy. And I'm earning good money doing something that I like, and I'm just sat here in my house. That's awesome. And then in my spare time, I was playing Kingdom 2 Crowns, right? In my spare time, this job, I could do it quite flexibly. I would work from 7 in the morning till about 2 in the afternoon, and then I'd go straight into streaming. So I would start playing video games and streaming. I would have lunch or eat lunch while I was having my starting soon screen up or whatever. And then I would stream Kingdom 2 Crowns. And I streamed other indie games as well, but it was mostly Kingdom 2 Crowns. And then I integrated myself into their community. Prior to any of the Twitch stuff, I'd never even touched Discord, didn't even know what a Discord was, right? And then everyone was, you need to be on Discord. I learned how to use that, joined the Kingdom 2 Crowns Discord, was quite an active member of that community. And not only was I playing the game and making content and engaging with the community, but I was kind of networking a little bit with the people that worked there and the other community managers and stuff like that. I was starting to get quite friendly with them. I was engaging with them on Twitter when Twitter wasn't X.
Yep.
You know, when Twitter was fairly okay. I was engaging with the community there too, engaging with the community managers there, and then a job came up and they were looking for a part-time community ambassador, right? And I knew that my contract was going to end. I had a contract with the other company for a year. I knew it was going to come to an end, and I was like, oh man, what am I going to do next? And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to apply for this community management job, community ambassador job with Raw Fury, working on Kingdom. And I didn't get it.
Oh.
Not to start with. And then about 2 or 3 months after I first applied, the community manager came back to me and said, I know that you applied and you didn't get it, but we're looking again. And it would only be 20 hours a week. I don't know if you're interested. And I was like, oh my God, 20 hours a week. As a neurodivergent person, full-time work, 9 to 5, has always been so scary to me. I've always believed that I'm not cut out to work out full-time. I'm not cut out for a 9 to 5. I need my flexibility. I need my freedom. I can't do structure. I can't do 9 to 5. That was the belief I'd instilled in myself. So I was like, 20 hours a week, that's perfect. That allows me to carry on doing whatever the heck I want. I can continue streaming. I can go to the gym. I can, do whatever I want, really, around 20 hours a week. That's perfect. So that's how I ended up doing that. And that was it. I kind of I think just playing the game, making the content and being active in their community and showing that I was an advocate for the game and that I was a decent person online and could conduct myself in a friendly manner. I think actually having 15 years of customer service background possibly helped there. But I think all of that combined was perfect. And I'm super grateful to the community manager at the time, Fiona, who got me into the industry and was like, yeah, I think you're great. We worked really well together. She was super nice. And that was really my foot in the door to the games industry.
Wow, that's amazing. I love you did keep us a little bit on the hook there where you said, I didn't get it. And I was, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
I didn't get it.
Cliffhanger. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I aim to please.
Really, that was good. You had me hook, line and sinker there. I was like, this is the dream. Oh no, it's not the dream. Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. It almost slipped away. Almost.
Cool.
Almost.
Well, this has been epic. I've loved catching up with you, for one thing. Because we met long ago in a former life, so it's really good to connect again.
Yeah.
Was there anything we didn't cover today, any topics, anything that at all on this conversation before we close out?
Yeah, I think just video games, the video games industry and working in that industry has sort of broken down that thought I had that I would never find my place in the world. Being neurodivergent, I know I keep bringing it up, but I had struggled so much with previous jobs. I hadn't been able to hold down a job for more than a year. I'd been bullied in jobs, I'd lost jobs, I was feeling quite broken. I was, oh my God, is it something to do with me? Am I wrong? Am I a bad person? Am I doing something wrong? I never thought I'd find my place where I could stay and feel valued and feel listened to and feel supported. And I think the video games industry has definitely given me that. It's set up to support people with a neurodivergence or a disability. I think it's very diverse, very accepting. And certainly where I work, they've been fantastic. And yeah, just not having that rigid 9 to 5. I still work 8 hours a day. I'm still there at 9:15 at the very latest, and I leave maybe 5:30. But I work late out of choice. I'm there because I think I'm there more than 8 hours a day, but it's out of choice because I love it and I feel I've really found my place there. So Yeah, I think if I hadn't have landed in video games, I just don't know what I would be doing or what my mental state would be.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think it's awesome for people to hear, because you don't apologize for talking about all of that stuff, because we've all got issues, whatever it is, whether it's visible or not. Everyone's got their own battles that they're fighting. And so I think it's great for people to hear that stuff. And like you say, I think because any industry, I think, where there's a lot of creatives, or at least in my belief, there's usually a little bit more understanding of all aspects of life. But that's just from my own personal experience anyway.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, it's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Vicki, for being with me today. It's been fabulous.
Some good listening in your ear holes.
There you go. It's all right. I'm just overwhelmed thinking about greed monsters and all sorts of other things. That's all it is.
Go and play it. Like, I need to get you on Kingdom 2 Crowns after this.
All right, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This show was brought to you by me, Ziggy Chris. So thanks very much for listening. You know how to do podcast things by now. So if you liked this, push the button, tell your friends, do all that jazz, and we'll see you next time. Take care.